All right, so it's time to take a look at what's on the papers today. On the front page of the Star newspaper, Uhuru, I have achieved my legacy. Uhuru, I've achieved my legacy. In last State of the Nation address, Kenyatta listed his achievements and spelled out the challenges ahead. Key among some of the issues he pointed out the expressway to reduce travel from Mlolongo to Rironi. He talked about electricity connection. In terms of wealth creation, he said that Kenya has grown and now is the 6th wealthiest nation in Africa from position 12 in 2013. He also talked about double road network, talking about over 10,000 roads so far done, and the construction of the Lamu port. And as well as he said that he sank over 2,500 boreholes compared to 99 by previous regimes, and 100% universal health care by 2022. That is his projection. And was, of course, the growth of GDP by 10.1% in second quarter of 2021, the highest ever recorded. That is according to the president in a nutshell in his State of the Nation yesterday's speech. Okay, the head of state speaks of corruption slowing growth, vows that BBI will be back. That is part of the discussion we're going to have in the next hour, just to at least try to understand in simple terms what the president meant during his State of the Nation address. What Kenyans lost in botched BBI, according to Uhuru. Ruto, critical of initiative, says that it was a plot to create positions. President Kenyatta on Tuesday hinted at the revival of the BBI, even as he bashed the judiciary for slamming brakes on the initiative he said would have ensured political stability in the country. He's never been so quiet about it, but as it is, he said that the BBI was well intended to address political toxicity and violence that have hit the country's economy every election cycle. That is according to him. Of course, we never lacked some of the mixed reactions there. And one notable thing is that one of the notable figures who opposed the president's State of the Nation address was Duale, who at one point was his ardent supporter. Now he said that it was one of the most boring speeches ever. That is according to Duale yesterday in Parliament. There's a story here where New Zealand billionaire, 26-year-old in apparent suicide in Karen. Businessman Jake Miller found hanging from a rope on the balcony of his cottage. And now he said that a 26-year-old was found dead on the balcony of his house in Karen on Sunday in an apparent suicide. Nairobi police boss, that is Agustin Thumbi, said that they are investigating the death. Friends who visited the scene said that they will help ship his belongings to his family in New Zealand. In March this year, Miller had said that he would visit Kenya because he wanted to experience new things and had no plans to travel back to New Zealand. Okay, that is as far as that is concerned. Quickly on the State of the Nation address, I've delivered grown economy, says President Kenyatta. He said that because of policies implemented by his administration, the country's GDP has grown from 4.74 trillion in 2013 to 11 trillion this year. But my question is, when the president says that Kenya is the 6th wealthiest nation in Africa, what about number 17, number 47, if you understand what I mean? Okay? And finally, we are watching you. ODM tells Chebukati. Junaid says that IEBC chairman preparing agency for repeat in 2017 polls that led to Supreme Court nullifying presidential election. Speaking hours after Chebukati made the announcement, ODM Secretary General, that is Edwin Sifuna, ODM Sifuna and party's Director of Elections, Junaid Mohammed, accused the chairman of planning to bungle 2022 elections. The Suna East MP claimed that Chebukati is preparing the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission for 2017 type of polls, which saw the Supreme Court nullify presidential polls and ordered repeat election. This is after Chebukati actually, IBC withdrew from the election preparedness team thereabout. So we'll be watching to see what will happen. All right. Jen?
Let's now move on to the Daily Nation. This is my legacy. Matters concerning the State of the Nation address have pretty much taken the bigger chunk of the front page of the Daily Nation today. Issues to do with the big push for investments since 2013, economic acceleration, restoration of dignity for our country, political stability, among many others, are just what have been featured here on this front page. And in regards to that whole State of the Nation address, it has been covered from pages 4 through to page 7 in great detail. And one interesting part that they have touched on when it comes to what rather this particular daily has pulled out from that particular State of the Nation address, it says that issues the head of state avoided in his address. According to this particular piece, there are 5 issues that stood out due to their absence from the president's speech. Number 1, war on corruption. Number 2, the runaway public debt. Number 3, the executive's disobedience to court orders. Number 4, rising concerns over enforced disappearances. Yeah, not 5. Those are the 4 issues that they have mentioned here. And they go on to talk about how one of the biggest controversy in President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration is the rising public debt, to the extent that his government asked Parliament to raise the debt ceiling from the current 9 trillion to 12 trillion. The other issue they have focused on is on corruption, and they'll actually peg this back to his addresses in 2019 and 2020. And looking at 2019, when he addressed the nation, he declared that there would be no sacred cows in the war against corruption. In his 7th address on the 12th of November last year, he steered clear of the promises that he made in 2019 when it comes to fighting corruption. And despite this many promises that he had made in line with fighting corruption, corruption still remains to be rampant in the public service, with no single high-profile conviction. Just part of what has been captured from page 4 through to page 7 of this particular daily, highlighting the pointers in the president's State of the Nation address. But away from that, tragedy as man wipes out family. One of the stories that we actually had in the GMK news with Regina earlier on has been covered here on page 3. And the interesting bit is the family of this gentleman say that he is a very laid-back, reserved, humble man. And as per the neighbors, they said that this is the first time they had any, domestic issues from this particular couple. But according to the reports, the preliminary reports from the police who are investigating this, there were some neighbors who said that they had a bit of commotion before all things broke out. And they said that they had an argument. It is alleged that this gentleman, Paul Murage, had attempted to defile his 13-year-old daughter and became violent when his wife tried to stop him. One of the neighbors actually said they heard the wife shouting and telling him to stop sexually abusing the daughter, and that is when the attack followed. There was said to be neighbors said they had a lot of screams from the children before everything went silent, and by the time they were getting there, the man wasn't there and the children were laying in a pool of blood, children aged between 13 and 1 year old. So that story has been covered there. Of course, I'm sure the other dailies have different angles and additional information that may have not been covered on this particular daily. That is basically what has made front way on the Daily Nation. Doreen.
Yeah, and perhaps you can begin from that story, which actually took place in Kirinyaga, and also how the PD is highlighting the same story just regarding the man, that is Murage, the 34-year-old man who killed his wife and the 4 children. The article continues to highlight that the man actually took himself to the police station and even told the police to arrest him for a total period of 6 months because of what he had done, killing the 38-year-old woman, that is his wife, and the 4 children, saying that he had also defiled the daughter sexually before going ahead to kill him. That is what is coming up on that particular story on the PD. Still on what is making the front page of this same daily, this is regards to, yes, the celebration of the World AIDS Day being the 1st of December, and today, even as the president will be leading the World AIDS Day celebration, he is also expected to grant Nakuru town a city status. In the morning, he will be leading in the World AIDS celebration in that particular town, and then thereafter grant Nakuru town a city status. Coming to that State of the Nation address, a lot has been said so far in this morning regards to that particular speech, what came out, and even as the president addressed various issues that are facing the country, key among them being matters to do with security, education, state of the economy, the health aspect, and not forgetting the handshake, just lauding the fact that peace was restored in the country in 2018 after that particular handshake. He also went ahead to speak on matters BBI, signaling the BBI project, saying that it's actually far from being finished. He also went ahead to enumerate the various gains that the BBI document intended to bring to Kenyans, including the increasing the minimum county allocation from the current 15% to 35%. And he also further hinted on revisiting the stalled report to recoup benefits the country stood to gain from the BBI report or the BBI project there. To a bit of some health matters now, the discussion to Western nation on shutting borders over COVID, and this is also part of what was mentioned by the president yesterday, saying that much as there's that Omicron variant which is taken center stage in South Africa, that Western nations need not to shut down African countries because of that. And still in regards to that, doctors now in the country are saying that Kenyans should not panic over this particular variant, and just alluding to the fact that there's still not so much global research on that particular variant, and there's also less information available, which indicates that there's little in the public domain regarding that variant. And this is why Kenyans, or better still Africans, should not be getting worried regarding this new COVID-19 variant. And even as I speak on matters COVID-19, right now Kisumu County is launching a drive to boost COVID vaccine uptake, and it has stipulated various ways in which it is planning to do this. So of course, when you get to the details, I'll be telling you more a bit about this. And they're planning to at least vaccinate about 135,000 Kenyans, and also just trying to ascribe the fact that there's been less uptake of this vaccine because of the little or less information and knowledge out there concerning the uptake of COVID-19 vaccine. And also to some politics right now, the Chap party, or Maendeleo Chap now hints at working with Raila for a better Kenya. So even on his speakers speak about parties joining or coalitions joining, this is just what came about yesterday, as the Maendeleo Chap declared that it will back the Azimio la Umoja push spearheaded by the opposition chief Raila Odinga, and they're also slated to bring forth or launch their manifesto, in which they will share with the former premier and see how they can come together in a coalition agreement. And yes, again, today being the World's AIDS celebration day, here as a country, we know that we've made significant efforts in stemming the spread of HIV and AIDS, and just also, as is being mentioned by the NAC CEO, that is Dr. Masha, just trying to bring forth the gains that we have made as a country. We also know that there's some gaps to be filled, and in regards to that, there's still a lot that the ministry is trying to do to ensure that they completely perhaps stem the spread of HIV, and key among them is trying to come up with ways of just producing local ARVs. So even as we get to the details, I'll be telling you more a bit about that and how the ministry is planning to do that. In a nutshell, that is how the PD looks like this morning. Regina.
While you're still watching KBC Channel 1, thank you for tuning in. Remember that you're live, and we welcome your feedback. You can get us on Twitter at KBC Channel 1 News. I have a sample of what has been captured on the Standard this morning, being the 1st of December. Let's start off with why the world is marking the HIV and AIDS Day, which happens to be the 1st of December. Now, so many strides have been made and inroads have been made to try and contain that disease, one of them being the fact that HIV and AIDS has been moved from life-threatening to a chronic but manageable. actually a chronic but manageable life sentence. Statistics indicate that, it has been a long journey from the darkness to life, and the AIDS pandemic has claimed almost 35 million persons in the last 40 years. Having been downscaled, there's still a lot to do because it has no cure. Now, this particular article here has gone further to give the statistics and the numbers of, how many persons, especially in the country, are living positively with HIV and AIDS, as well as the inroads that have been made. And one of them is the issue of anti-retroviral therapy. And some good facts here is that at the year of Magic Johnson's retirement, that's when the world got its first anti-retroviral therapy triple dose drugs 15 years later after the pandemic had began. So if you want to catch up with what has been done so far, especially locally, now looking even at the African situation, is that more than 17 million African lives have been saved through the PEPFAR. And there's so much that is going on, and we're going to be engaging further with experts in regard to this matter as the world marks the World AIDS, celebrating World AIDS Day 40 years on. What have been the hits and misses, and where are we at? That has found itself on the front page of the Standard this morning, as well as take home from President Uhuru Kenyatta's last and 8th State of the Nation address yesterday. He picked out some areas, one being energy, health, as well as infrastructure, as some of the successes of his tenure. As the world marks 16 days of activism, now Kenyans woke up to a sad story here, and it has found itself on the front page of the Standard this morning. And it's about a man who took himself to the police station and confessed to having murdered his wife and his 4 children. Here's just a sneak peek of what transpired. So according to this particular article, the recluse is suspected to have killed the family, was shunned by parents, and according to the area chief, Muthoni, the wife to the late wife, or rather the wife to Paul Murage, who is aged 35 years old, who is also alleged to have abused and sold bank, had a tumultuous relationship with his 38-year-old wife, which ended tragically on Sunday when he killed his wife, Millicent Muthoni, daughters Nelly Wawera, aged 13, Shermit Wamboi Muthoni, aged 5, sons Gifton Bundi Muthoni, 7, and Clifton Njoke Murage, aged 1. So it is believed, and according to neighbors' account here, some neighbors have claimed that Muthoni, who was a casual laborer and an ardent churchgoer, came back on Sunday evening and suspected that her daughter had been defiled by Murage, and then an argument ensued. Though neighbors say that they had this commotion, none came out to actually see what was going on. The lifeless bodies were still found in their beds with injuries on their head and various parts of the body. An axe and a slasher that have already been picked for exhibits, is said have been used for this gruesome murder. It's very sad that even as we mark the gender-based violence, activism against gender-based violence, that this is happening. Well, life is precious, but it seems that people have a price to it. People have put a tag to it, a very sad fact. Just to remind you that we are on the campaign trail, and the question here has been asked. We have been talking and watching what Oka is doing, and this particular article here is asking an analysis, so to speak, why Kalonzo holds the key to a coalition deal. Do you think so? So, Kalonzo Musyoka, Wiper Party leader, has been quoted in this particular article, and I want to read it as is. I would be the most stupid fellow under the earth to support for the 3rd time a presidential candidate without a measure of reciprocity. As we say, a day in politics is quite a long time, and if you need to keep watching that space. You need to know who is with who to what end. And talking about who is with who, tomorrow Manchester United will be taking on Arsenal, but tonight's EPL fixtures read that Aston Villa will be taking on Manchester City at 11:15. Everton will be squaring it out with Liverpool. Now that's another tough for Everton as they face rivals Liverpool today. The Toffees have suffered 5 defeats in the last matches. So those that walk alone, I'm sure you're already anticipating a win from that. Southampton will be taking on Leicester at 10:30 p.m. while West Ham will be taking on Brighton at 10:30. Watford versus Chelsea at 10:30 p.m. and Wolves will be taking on Burnley at 10:30. There's been a lot of talk as you know in regards to who won the Ballon d'Or and why, and there's been talk and speculation that Lewandowski was robbed from the FIFA award. What is your take? We are open to feedback. You can get us on Twitter at KBC Channel 1 News. For further details in regard to what those stories that have been making headlines, they're also available on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. As we take a quick breather, we are not done. We have so much in line for you. Do not go away. We'll be right back.